Alright, Anticontavad video. he's saying seems like we're making progress, and I guess that's with somebody else, because yeah, I see it as a huge regression, into conceptual truths or statements that are underlying your premise of evacuation of premises. So you have premises, they're just not common premises. So I would argue that brain is a evolutionary developed organ, and it has a particular function. Now, you're claiming its function is something abstract. I'm sorry, that's your claims are the abstract claims. The morphed and changed claim from what is pretty much an explicit fact. So unless you wish to claim that evolution didn't take place and that brain wasn't something that developed on Earth for a function, it's an organ with a function, like a liver has a function, kidneys have functions, brain has function. And you've abstracted the function. I mean, you've twisted it like an image and mixed it, the colors, into making it into something else. And that's what you've done. And then you claim that you're trying to liberate yourself from abstraction because you claim that all the facts are abstractions. So there's really no, I mean, it's almost impossible to have a conversation in this sense where there's no agreeable terms for any real conversation. Nothing's real. The past isn't happened, the future isn't going to happen, the present isn't now. I mean, there's no there's no context, and without context it's mush. Now, I'm not saying this isn't some drug worth taking. Okay, fine, let's call it what it is, a recreation. But you're not going to make the brain work better by pretending it can do things it can't do. My kidneys aren't better at being a liver than the liver. And the liver isn't a very good kidney. And certainly the liver would be a really shitty brain. So I mean, this idea that you can just make it into anything you want to make it into, no, I mean, whatever, like I said, that might be a fun toy to play with your brain in such a way. But don't tell me that you're finding something, the realness, that you've ridden some tiger to some oasis far, far away that can only tiger riders can get there. I mean, you know, you're aggrandizing this, whatever it is, this adventure, as if it is the consummate human experience. I'm like, I don't think so. Alright, so there's so many little pieces to go through. I guess I'll play the clips first, and then, I mean, there's just so much. Alright, but I would, so I want to kind of get to the end first, and I want to talk about some of these things about, the fact that they're, what he's describing essentially is an idea where we know that we can't really extract ourselves from our knowledge. You're going to recognize that a fish is a fish, you're going to recognize that a giraffe is a giraffe, and you almost can't undo that. You almost can't undo knowing 2 + 2 = 4. It's really hard to get rid of that stuff. But let's say you could, let's say the example would be, what I thought of, is that it can be fun to pretend you're blind. Let's say, especially like in sex or something, just close your eyes and enjoy just the sensations or something. So this limited knowledge, when you get a taste of that isn't interesting. It makes everything, it gives everything a newness and a pureness, because you're not distracted by your brain thinking too much. It's just, if you turn the eyes off, the ears hear more. You turn the ears off, the skin feels more. That kind of thing. I get that. He's taking it to another level where you'd say, I'm going to take away your vision, your ability to see with your previous knowledge, and then I'm going to put you into this house, this dark place, and it has all kinds of things in it. But I've changed reality. So gravity isn't the same, left-right isn't the same, everything's broken. So you're not going to be able to use your knowledge of staircase to know I fall down. You're not going to be able to know any of that stuff. And so everything you touch might electrocute you. Everything you do might cut your head off. It might whack you. It might, and then there might be something else you do, and all of a sudden you get an orgasm. You have no way to navigate. You're just feeling the consequences. So you're like the blind man, and it's like the Frankenstein. Even the guy lights his finger on fire and lights a cigar, with his finger on fire. That kind of. All of a sudden you're in a world where there's a stove and you put your hands on it and you burn them, and all these things that can happen to you. And maybe that's what he means by the terrifying part, is that you can't know what's coming. You can't know if you're stepping off the edge of a cliff. You can't know any of that stuff, and so you're terrified just because you have this sense that it's going to happen whether you like it or not, because you can't see it and you can't sense it. You can't prepare for it. It's just going to whack you. The pendulum is swinging, the axe with the blade on it, and you're blind, and you're going to walk right the fuck into it. So you stick your hand out and it whacks your hand off. I could see how that would be terrifying. So if I was put in a Freddy's Nightmare kind of a thing, where I'm a blind person thrown into a chamber of horrors, and wherever I turned, like I'm told there's an escape route, but I have no way of finding it except by damaging myself. Well, that would be terrifying. But I don't think that's exactly what he's talking about. But I'm saying, why would I bother with this? Why don't I just sit there and close my eyes and have somebody play with my willy? I'm just saying, I can understand you go this far, but what's the point of going so far where, everybody's talking a language I can't understand? It all turns into noise because I don't have any context. Without context, it's noise. You have to interpret the world. And that's what we do. We interpret the language. We don't speak reality. We interpret reality. So we need an interpreter to take reality and put it into the language of the mind. Ooh, that's profound. But that's sort of what has happened. And the past is the Rosetta Stone. The past has done that for us. It's created our language. It's created the word definitions. It's created the categories and the properties. It's created the knowledge base of, well, we've done this experiment 600 times and water appears to always be wet. Yes, this seems to happen a lot. The sun always seems rather sunny. The moon is mooning. And yes, so they have acquired all this contextual knowledge that edifies us. And so when I'm using the snowball example, what I'm saying is the snowball is like a liquefied earth. It separates the gold from the aluminum, from the tinsel, and from the glitter, and from the fliff and the fluff. And it puts the dirty, messy shit on the surface and lets it fester. Little worms grow in it. And the snowball is doing that. And that's where you would say that fulcrum, that place where it hits the ground, you would say that's consciousness, and I would say that's the realization of the filtering. The fact that the snowball is becoming educated. It's organizing through the tumble. The tumble polishes the rocks, kind of thing. And the facts are being polished, and it's the polished rocks hitting the surface that changes the course. And I would argue that if I was to complete the snowball metaphor, I would say there's a point where you become intelligent enough, the snowball becomes intelligent enough, that it ends up saying, hey, there's Hitler's villa over there. Let's turn, okay, and let's park right on his fucking ass. And enjoy the peace and quiet. Kill two birds with one stone. Stop the the reckless running and smush the shithead. Anyway, that might be how I would complete the cartoon. Alright, so anyway, 3:15, we have a statement I didn't care too much for, somewhere around there anyway.
Real to you when in fact it's difficult to demonstrate that the past is real. It's also difficult to demonstrate the future is real.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that I don't think it's difficult. I don't see a logical alternative. It sounds like more of a bullshit than like Santa Claus or leprechauns or the boogeyman or any concocted BS for me to sit there and contemplate how the past didn't happen, that the present isn't happening, and that the future will happen. I can't escape those facts with any notions in my head that could be anything else but considered by me as fucktarded. I mean, I'd have to make up something fucktarded. I can only use fucktardium, to swirl to a fucktarded abstraction to break the rational continuity of the evidence. Yeah. Alright, so I'll play a little tiny bit more. I don't know how much of this I need to play.
Because the future, well, what is it? It's an abstraction, as is the past.
Right, okay, so that's his claim. I'm saying what you're doing is the abstraction. The evidence is not an abstraction, and the facts aren't abstractions, and the reliability of the sun sunning and the moon mooning is not an abstraction. It's a solid painting. And I've solidly interpreted that reality and stating that it has these properties, and those properties are fixed. And that's not an abstraction. It's not a perversion or a distortion. It's an accurate description. There might be more to it. There might be little men inside the moon, and I haven't accounted for them. But I can certainly describe, well, the moon's definitely got this roundy thing happening, it's got these lumpy things happening. I can definitely get that part right. Not an abstraction. They're true statements. They're accurate descriptions of properties. And again, I'll say it's an accurate description of the properties of our brain, that it's an organ that has function. And the function isn't and that's not really what it's supposed to be doing. Alright, so I guess what I'd say to hear this is kind of a key point, because he's trying to break the continuity of the acquisition of these bits of knowledge. And what I'm going to argue is, without those, there's no interpreter. All the language is turned to mush. All the words turn to nothing. All the understanding disappears. And I just don't see any point then. I can't possibly say it makes sense to stand in the noise. Watch a TV show that's not only scrambled, the image isn't not only just the image is scrambled, okay, and you can't see anything, but it's all scrambled, but the voice is scrambled. Why would I watch that TV show? How can I, as a educated thing, as a thing that has a whole bunch of grounding, why would I bother doing that? Why would there be appeal to me walking blindly into bear traps? Doesn't sound like a project worth doing. Even if once in a while, I get goosed a little just right, and I go, whoa, that was interesting. Get my hands cut off for a little goosing? I mean, fuck that. Anyway, alright, let's jump ahead to 17 something or other. Blah 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 blah. Okay.
what is the difference? Where's the fulcrum between the past and the future? That's us, I think.
Right, and so what I'm saying, us is just knowledge. So that would be my argument. The fulcrum is the current mixture, the current filtering that has taken place. The residue is being sloughed off the outside, and the gold is being gravitated towards the center in a sense. Or I would argue that logic is really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the function of the brain, and what the brain has done, it has filtered the bullshit, leprechauns, from the solid stuff like the sun is sunny, and it knows the difference between those things. And it's acquired a whole bunch of this the sun is sunny knowledge, and it's disposing of the I was anally probed by aliens and blah blah. And, oh yeah, sure you were, sure you were. I was Cleopatra. No, sure you were, sure you were. It's filtered, and it's filtered rather reliably, and that's what the snowball is running on now. Is with every turn, okay, it's filtering knowledge. Tomorrow, my physics might get accepted by physics. So I will change physics. Now the change happened inside of me, but the change was in the snowball already. The snowball was getting closer and closer to that filtered truth. It was getting closer and closer to the idea that what exists, bent space tells stuff what to do, was silly, and that a better explanation can exist, and if we do a little looking, we'll find it. And so I'm the little mechanism that does a little bit of looking and finds it. But if it's accepted, there'll be change. Change happens. This is the change. The snowball gets rid of bent space and relativity, you know, bullshit, and it accepts a more rational, you know, photons can read our minds. Yeah, it gets rid of the silly shit. Heisenberg, Huygens, you know, woo-woo, and it runs on something a little more rational. Just like we've gotten rid of the sillier fanaticisms and nonsense of a explicit description of creation or something. Even the people calling themselves Christians have thrown whole sections of the Bible out. So that's what I say is the fulcrum.
That's consciousness. And consciousness is the only sort of anchor that we have that seems to be more or less reliable.
Well, again, you're saying that it's all abstractions, so you can't have it both ways. You can't say the organ works and it's able to do this logic thing and mix facts together and find the contradictions and do the logical rule thing and construct an accurate drawing or outline of the form, and then the same argument say, get rid of the abstractions, the definitions that are reliable, and walk around in the dark because it's fun. Because it's riding some kind of tiger. I mean, this is kind of like telling me, you know, somebody getting off the salt and pepper ride at the amusement park, you know, and saying, oh, gee, that was so much fun. Well, except for the guy who threw up on me. Okay, so what should I do with that information besides say, have at it, knock yourselves out? I'm going to go turn a duck over and see if I won a prize. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to go play a pinball machine, thank you. I don't need to be upside down or any of that shit.
What is the fulcrum that determines the difference between the past and the future is us, because they're in
Right, I'm saying, so my us description is we're more than just, our consciousness really doesn't have anything to do with the snowball, the information, the knowledge base, that kind of evolution. You could almost argue we don't need to be conscious for the snowball to do the filtering. Consciousness is just the expression that allows us to move and to act. So there's no place for it in the metaphor. It's not necessary to the metaphor because the momentum is the hill. Obviously, we have momentum in the sense that we have our passion and our hunger, and we chase the truth, and we chase knowledge, and we chase these things. We desire them. We hunger for them. We hunger for the answer. How can I be a millionaire? How can I do this? How can I? How can I? How can I? And I would argue that the edified, or the truly enlightened, no longer try to figure out how to own a Lamborghini. They try to figure out how to make owning a Lamborghini silly.
If we were to look at time in a completely linear fashion, there is no past, present, or future.
Well, I think you said that backwards. If I look at it linearly, there is. So I don't know what you're saying there.
Because
there's the trench, okay, where the snowball was. There's the trail, and there's the new snow that will have a trail in it. So I don't know. I think those things are easily seen in a very real way. I don't have to see the actual pictures of OJ's wife's head cut off to understand what it probably looks like.
There's no fulcrum, there's no vantage point from which we can tell the difference between the past and the future. Something has to decide what's the past and what's the future.
Well, again, I just don't see that as being even a complex issue. So, I don't know. This may all have purpose in terms of your way of describing reality, but I don't need to make a distinction. I don't need to worry about it. All I'm worried about is events. I don't care when they happen. I just care that they happen. And the truth is, I think it's a fact, like the moon has craters. I can absolutely do nothing about the past ones. And I have some real hope of thinking a better future. There's real hope that even if I'm in your blind world, that I'm going to acquire just enough knowledge to crawl or ooze my way through the traps. Indiana Jones kind of, I'll just get fucking lucky and I'll get through it.
And again, that's something as us. Or not us in terms of us, the organism or whatever, but just consciousness, perception, I guess.
Well, again, so you're worried about perception, I'm worried about knowledge. So you degrade knowledge as a silly abstraction. I degrade perception as just it's over. Not important. The noise of the future. To the billionth. Okay, that a billion times over. That is something. This is nothing.
So that's an interesting way of illustrating, I think, the difference between the moment of becoming and just this view of one's consciousness as just a dot on a point of a long line.
Yeah, well, whatever. They're all just dots, and some of the dots, they're all turns, and some of the turns in the snowball are big turns. The snowball is in the middle of reforming, and it's a big change, and some changes are little changes, but they're all change. It can't help but change. It's acquiring new snow. It can't help but change. Change is impossible to avoid. The snowball will never be the same. It's with every millimeter it turns. It is never the same anymore. Every turn turns it into now. Anyway, so let's jump ahead to 22. Something or other. 40 something or other.
Of a baggage attached to it as well, but I find it more apt. It's like, as I've used in the metaphor in the past, a fire hose right in the face. Things are happening. You have no.
That's not 22. Yeah, I'm not too interested in this. You know, he's riding the tiger, fire hose in the face. You know, like I said, yeah, I said, yes, take away all my knowledge, make me ignorant and retarded, and I'm going to stumble through the world, and it's going to be a scary place. You can scare retards with almost no effort at all if you turn out the lights. They're afraid. So, yeah, I get that, but I don't get why that's fun. I mean, it's, you know... do you think that if I did that on purpose to a retard, I was doing him a favor? I don't think so.
Using anchors to make sense, or not even anchors, I guess. Crutches, even.
Yeah, so that's really irritating. So that's not such an obnoxious way to say it. I'd say you're the one who is deliberately disabling yourself, crawling on your belly. You know, you're the one disabled and crippled in terms of your vision, because you've been so, you're almost like the anti-government lunatic. You know, then they turn into some sort of fucking anarchist or something. It's a totally insensible, nonsensical theology where, you know, I can just explain the 9 million ways you've made crime impossible to stop, and you've you know, you've given the child molester superpowers, you've given every bad tendency in the human character, you've empowered it by 1,000,000 times. I mean, I can just piss in your water all day long. You know, I mean, and you're not going to stop me. Rape and pillage for the win, all over the place. I'm just saying, so they have this disregard for some element of oh, people are too cliche, people are too in the box, people are too boring, people are too silly, people are too trivial, and you're taking that critique and just like Nietzsche, right? Just this total exaggeration, because some good people suck, because some charity sucks, because some decent people are just lousy people pretending to be decent, because there's fraud and crookery, we'll just blow the whole thing up. And we'll just pretend nobody ever says a sincere word. Nobody has a sincere thought. Nobody has a sincere motive. Nobody's... Yeah, I mean, it's just crap. It's a childish way to react. And yeah, now that I think about it, this is your tendency, right? If I said something like, we should have a fair economics where people earn their privilege by their individual effort. You'd call it communism. You'd call me Stalin. I mean, it's just... but yeah, so yes, I don't accept your argument that the people who have taken the time to analyze human function and recognize our frailties, our weaknesses, the fact that you know, we have optimism bias and we do this and we do that and we're manipulative and we're selfish, and they go to the trouble to say, I'm a selfish cunt. They stand up at the meeting and say, I'm a selfish cunt. Okay, and I'm not going to do it anymore on purpose. I'm not going to do it willfully. I'm not going to just let it slide. I'm not going to say it's acceptable. I'm going to say, tell me, when you see me being a selfish cunt, point it out and say, you're being a selfish cunt, Gary. And I'll do you the same favor. And let's be better than what our nature made us. Or something like that. Yeah, I think that's not having a crutch. I think that's having... wear your damn boots. You know, put your damn boots on and be a fucking man. Don't be walking around in your little sissy pink slippers.
I would say crutches. The past is something of a crutch, because it's not real, and it doesn't really do anything for us, except help us, I guess.
Identify everything. Yeah. You know, give us some hope of knowing how to do something. Yes, I mean, it's one thing to learn the piano. It's another thing to have to first learn how to make a piano. I mean, if you had to do it all from scratch, I mean, fuck. with no blueprints and no instructions. Gee, that's a lot to ask from one person. So obviously the past is incredibly valuable, and that they've already done all the stupid things. Okay, they've already made all the really poisonous kind of foods, and they've done all the retarded licking of the wrong anuses and all kinds of shit like that. So now I don't have to do it. They've already done all the really stupid shit. So I don't have to walk around blind and do something stupid anymore. I don't have to do that. I can be informed and knowledgeable, and to sit there with your, to smugly discount 10,000 years of life experience and just say it was all just a fucking abstraction. No, it wasn't. It created some of the most beautiful things that will ever be as a human construct. But anyway, I think we're coming down to the wire here. I think I might have accomplished my task here. Yeah, the crutches things is bullshit. No context, no truth. That would be my argument. So this whole idea that you can annihilate the knowledge of the past and still have do something called an honest life, or anything called a reasonable life, or a rational life, or a logical life, or any kind of life besides just sitting there and squeezing your liver and saying, let me see if I can make blood pop out of it. I don't see how this brain organ is intended to do what you're doing with it, like, up and down out of your ass or something. Sorry, that's a little crude. But crutches was kind of a rude remark. But that's sincerely, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, all I see you doing is saying, I don't like what the facts indicate. So if I squeeze the brain hard enough, maybe I can make it distort everything, so now nobody will see that the whole thing is a pile of shit. That's what I see. Smear enough grease on the screen and you're going to look like Robert Redford. Isn't that all you're doing here? I'm going to make this sow's ass into Christina Applegate's lips. Knock yourself out, but that's not what's going to happen. You're just going to kiss the pig's ass. Anyway. So no action point. Yeah, so the part where the ball is rolling again, we are the action point because we're possess the knowledge base that is improved as the ball rolls. And okay, run over Hitler's chateau. I did that already. The code with no interpreter. Big, important. But I think everything else has been dealt with. Alright, so it's not a preposterously long video. And, yeah, thank you for the conversation. I think I'm getting what you're saying, but I guess I just don't understand. Like I said, this is basically you're just saying, I love amusement parks. I love being fucked up, and I love that whole thing of being nauseous and getting right on the edge of puking but not puking, and it's just a whole bunch of fun and blah blah. And I'm saying, fine, but yeah, I'm gonna throw one of them little bowling balls and try to get it in the middle thing, and you win some tickets. I'm gonna do that instead. Thanks, but no thanks. Sorry, I don't really want to blindly fall down staircases into buckets of razor blades. Just don't need to do that, thank you. I'm good. Glass of water, a piece of bread with some lovely mustard on it. I'm good, thank you. Don't need whatever you're after. Thank you very much.